Whoa! Hi everybody, welcome to Turn Your Story into a Book. My name is Robert Ian Bonnick and I'm the author of this great book here called Soul Survivor, How an Abandoned Child Goes From Nothing to Everything. Now, for those of you who've been watching, published by New Holland as well, for those of you who are in the group Turn Your Story into a Book, thank you so much for joining that group. It's been a great journey for me, and being able to put all of the knowledge of writing your book, of turning your story into a book, has been such an incredible experience for me personally. And I really want to thank Rhonda Swan of Unstoppable Brands for giving me the framework, right, to get everything in, right? Because the thing for me is that I'm excited, right? I'm an excited person, so to get everything in is difficult for me sometimes, to bring everything into a center. But her process allowed me to do that. So thank you so much indeed. So now today, let's get on to it. So today is about turning your story into a book, all right? Now, for those of you who have been in the group, who have seen every single video that I've done, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. There may be some things in here that double up, but there'll also be some things which are new, all right? And this is designed for people who want to turn their story into a book, who have a message, who want to get it out there, right? There's three kinds of person, which will be great for this. One type of person is a person who knows or is on their bucket list to write a book, but they don't know how, right? So this one is for you. Number two, the second kind of person is the person who knows they've got a great message or an important message to share with people, but they kind of don't know how to do it, but they also know that writing a book is a great platform because they know that when you write a book like this, these are your words, right? It can't be manipulated nor changed nor transformed or biased into a different sector. It's exactly how you want it to be. Okay, that's the second kind of person. The third kind of person realizes the power of a brand and realizes that they are a brand, right? So people are brands and brands are people. So when we buy something, when we hang out with someone, when we want to see someone, when we give someone a hug, we're buying into their brand, right? Their brand of, are they a reliable person, right? Are they a charismatic person? Do they have empathy? Do they have sympathy? Are they a go-getter, right? Are they moving forward in their lives, right? All of these things are part of our personal brand. And obviously our brand as a business, we have a very powerful brand there that then determines the difference between, making business or not making business. So for example, if I want to have a coffee, right? Maybe I'm going to go to Expat Coffee. Is Shay watching this? Your coffee's great, right? I might go to Expat Coffee over another type of coffee. Why? Because Expat Coffee for me has got a stronger brand presence. So these are the things that we're going to talk about tonight and how to maximize them in order that we get maximum return, maximum value for maximum impact, all right? So that's what we have in store tonight. So let's kick this off. So for me, a little bit about me, I guess. So my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, and as I mentioned before, this is my book, Soul Survivor, How an Abandoned Child Went From Nothing to Everything. And it's a story, a true story, my story of a child brought up in two children's homes in London from 6 months to the age of 18, and all the things that happened, right? So the first third of the book is about what life was like, because many people don't realize what life is like growing up in a children's home, right? What things happened to me. The structure, right? And things which later on would steer the course of my life, of my life. That's in the first third. The second third is about what happens when you take off the glass ceiling that we sometimes put over ourselves to limit how far, how high, how fast we can go, right? And when I pulled that off, there are things that happened to me, like I worked with Madonna, the supermodels, had a business voted number 3 in the world, had a family of my own, still do, 2 kids watching now. Hello, Marina. Right, love you, darling. So all of these things, and there are many, many more, but all of these things happened to me when I removed the glass ceiling. And the third part of the book is giving you practical tricks, not tricks, but body tips, 5 steps to manifest things that you want in your life, right? So that book sums up that. I became a coach, a speaker, inspirational speaker, and obviously an author, right? So going through this whole process, I really got to imbibe what it feels like. And what I do is I combine coaching, life coaching, relationship coaching, into the book writing process. So it's not just a book coach, you're getting a coach in life who's working with you to create this magical thing that we call a book. And I love autobiographies. I love pulling out, teasing out, the beautiful stories, principles, understandings, insights that all of us have, and putting them on a plate for someone else to eat and get immediate value from. It tastes good, right? And if it tastes good, what do? You eat more of it, right? So that's a little bit about me. Been very successful in doing that. Have some great people I'm working with right now. So, for example, advising two girls, Matilda Drilestadi, if you're watching this now, thank you so much for the testimonial. So Matilda Drilestadi and Didi, a climbing partner, the first Indonesian female team to climb the 7 highest mountains on Earth, including Everest. The 7 highest planets on each continent, including Everest. Incredible. Working with Stephanie Rodriguez, a woman who is inspired, right, to positively impact the lives of 1 billion people. You heard it right, 1 billion people. A Jamaican lady who's in Jamaica. She's an absolute legend, right? She's raised hundreds of millions of dollars for charity, for poverty, people living in poverty, right? Very powerful. When she speaks, you listen. Marsha, if you're watching this, you are awesome, right? So there's a whole bunch of people. I mean, one, Christina, amazing Spanish lady. Her family tree dates back to Christopher Columbus, right? In her family tree, it was basically, they were part of the consortia that basically gave the investment for Christopher Columbus to sail around the world, right? So these are some people that I'm working with at the moment. There are more, but these are the ones that stick into mind. Very powerful, driven people. Now that dovetails straight into my next thing. So let's get into the book. So now, when you're thinking about this, when you're thinking about, turning your story into a book, there's 3 great questions to ask yourself. I'm not saying you need to know all of the answers, but you need to know these answers, or need to ask yourself the questions, right? The first question is why. What is my why? Okay, so I'll give you an example. For me personally, right, my why was always about, bringing people together, different cultures, ideologies, races, around things that we can all relate, to identify the things that make us unique, but also to come together around the things that we can all get along, the things that we can all see or mirror in each other. This happened because growing up in a kids' home, we had racism, violence, all that stuff was happening, even though it was run very well. Sunday afternoon was like an amnesty in our back gardens, like Switzerland, right? We'd have 17, 18 kids playing football, another 20 or 30 people watching. But what happened was magical because, all of these 20 or 30 people that were different, right? Different ideologies, mentalities, religiosities, eye color, hair color. Me, I still had not much hair, right? But we would all check our ego at the door, check our unconscious biases at the door. So when we came in that back garden, it was like we were all one. And all the conversations that we had, all the heartfelt stories that were shared, all of those things were around oneness, right? So now why am I telling you this? Because since then I've created events for 5 people, 10 people, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, tens of thousands of people. I love bringing people together, right? And all of that came out of that experience, that Sunday afternoon in the back garden of coming together, right? At 12 years of age, I wanted to be Secretary General of the UN. That's how far I went. In my family tree recently, I found out that Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, the Jamaican Maroons, which is my background, right? Jamaican Maroons, which underpinned the American Civil Rights Movement, right? So my why is powerful, right? When I speak about, Stephanie Rodriguez, right? She wants to impact positively the lives of 1 billion people. That's a big, powerful why, And we all have this why. We all have this why, but we need to tap into it because, when we tap into our why, the why that's present right now, the one that's heartfelt, the one that involves other people, right? The why that involves maybe not 1 billion people, right? But involves other people. When we tap into that kind of purpose and that kind of why, magic happens. The universe conspires to help us, to support us, to get it done, right? And this is what I'm talking about. So what is your why? That's question number 1. Number 2 is what is your intention with doing it, right? So my intention with the book was that, I was already a coach, I was already a speaker, I was already doing that. So my message is very clear. It's not where you start in life, it's where you're going that's important. And what you learn about yourself along the way, right? That's the message that comes through everything that I do, right? Everything which I do. So for me, writing a book, the intention was to have a platform to spread that same message farther and wider than I could possibly do by myself alone. That was my worldview, right? That I wanted to share with other people, right? So what is your intention behind your book? Even if you don't know it yet, just by asking yourself that question is already beginning to put, that state of like desire, that state of, exploration to find out what it is, right? So why? What is my intention? And number 3 is, who am I writing for, right? So who am I writing for? Now this is very powerful as well, because when you work out who you're writing for, really, when you get inside their head, who are you writing for? Like, again, I use myself as an example. I'm writing for people who want to move forward in their lives. I want to write for people who, acknowledge where they're from. May not have been the greatest, but they have an ability and an awareness to identify what's stopping them in their lives, to look at that in the mirror and with courage, right? Solve, heal those wounds on the way to going somewhere. Right? Now, going somewhere doesn't necessarily mean you have to make $1 billion, $1 million. Going somewhere can just be that, that you're a person who has empathy, right? You're a person who's able to respond differently to an outside stimuli than what you were doing before. So for me, for example, sorry I could use myself as an example, but it's easy, right? Growing up, I had racism. I was at the effect of racism. So that N word, which I won't repeat now, but you know what I'm talking about. That N word, every time someone called me that, I would hit them. That would be my response. Correction, my reaction, not a response. So over time, I needed to learn how to respond and learn to respond differently, to understand it was an unconscious bias within the mind of the other person. They don't know what they're doing, right? So me, I'm just at the age of 12, right, in history, studying the 100 Years' War, a war that went on for 100 years, of which there are many. This one was in Middle East, right? And a kid at the back put his hand up. Yes, miss, what? 100 Years' War, yes. Can't be the same people fighting, can it? Right? And I was like, didn't get it. Now I get it. It's what you pass down, right, to your younger ones, to your kids. I have 2 kids, right? They're young, so I'm very more aware and conscious of what I'm passing on. Right? So who you're writing for is really important. It's really powerful, and it gives you an insight into the problems that you can solve, or the problems that you can heal for that person. Right? So that's the bonus 4th question, by the way. Right? The bonus is that it's like like getting in their mind, getting inside their head. Which problems can I solve? Which problems can I solve? All right. Okay. That's that part. That's behind the book before you even start about it. Now, the next thing which are really important to know is, and I use this as an example, so the title and the cover. So 60% of books, latest research, 60% of books are sold on the cover and the title alone. And then 30% of those sit on someone's bookshelf and they're never read. But we won't talk about that. That's not going to be your book. It's going to be read, right? It's going to be read. So this is key. I found mine, discovered mine last, which I crowdsourced from friends on Facebook, right? So it's not essential you have this first. Turning around. So what we have here is the book summary at the back. The book summary, divide it into thirds, right? So the first third as a guide. The first third is really good to explain what is it about. What is it about? What is the book about? Okay? What are the salient points? Okay? What's the problem? What's the solution? How am I going to solve that for you? The second third of the book can be, a little bit about you. What makes you qualified? Why is it that you're espousing this? Maybe what have you been through that can relate to the first section? And the third section, the final third, is about, okay, so if I've got those 2 together, what is it that the person reading my book is going to get? Right? So what is it that the person reading this book is going to get? Right? And so is it resilience? Is it calm? Is it understanding? Is it, this feeling of courage? Is it, this feeling of empathy? Right? Empathy, by the way, is the new gold. Right? Empathy. And it's not sympathy, it's empathy. But that's an aside. So that's what we're looking at in that final third. Now the next thing we look at, so remember, less than 1 second, I'm going to decide whether I'm even going to pick up your book or not. When I turn it over to the book summary, if you get me, right, if you like tease on those heartstrings, it's like, wow, you know, this book sounds like something which I need to read. I feel compelled to pick up this book. I feel compelled to read it. Then I go to the contents page. Now the contents page, huge mistake that people make in the contents page is they keep it boring. You don't want to be boring in the contents page because that's the third pillar to decide whether someone's going to pick up your book or not. So that third pillar, those chapters, right, you want to rewrite each of them like a newspaper headline. So it evokes some kind of emotion. It evokes, you know, some kind of like, what the heck? You know, it could be weird, it could be funny, it could be funky, it could be off, right? Or it could be just plain out weird, right? But you need to restructure and rewrite it so it does create an emotion in the person that's picking it up, right? Now for each one, you just go through and you change in that filter, or you amend in that filter. Okay, now the next step, by the way, I probably should have said if you've got a pen and a piece of paper, you should get it, but hey, you can watch us on replay. We'll keep it on this Facebook group, and so it will be there forever. Maybe not forever, but it'll be there for a while. But if you have got a pen and a piece of paper, don't try and write down everything. Write down the things that are insightful for you, because that means it's something new, right? So we go with the insight, okay? Don't have to write everything down. Okay, so where are we up to? We're up to front cover, book summary, contents page. Now this is the bit which depends on which era you're born in, right? So I was born in '69. That's a long time ago, damn it, long time. So I like pen and piece of paper, right? So what we do now is we break those chapters down, because the chapters is your story broken down into bite-sized chunks. So what we're going to do now is I take that out, one piece of paper per chapter. And on each chapter I write down the following. So this I repeat for all of the chapters, right? So the first thing is, okay, which 3 points do I want to bring up and raise in this chapter? And I write those 3 points down. Great. Now, because we always think in stories, right? We think in stories. So what basically happens is that we were all brought up on the once upon a time. We've got 2 little kids, as I mentioned before, and whenever we go like once upon a time, it's like they come closer, the eyes get wider. It's like, yes, Daddy, what? So in a way, we're all brought up on that. We're all brought up on that. So that once upon a time, where it comes in is that for those 3 points, maybe you want 1 or 2 stories that relate to those points, that alliterate those points, all right? So we've got that going on. Remember, we repeat this for each chapter. We're talking about structuring now. We haven't started writing a book, okay? Now, what do we do next? What we do next is we add an emotion that's overriding for that chapter, an overarching emotion that sums up that chapter. Why do we do that? I'll tell you why later on. It's called emotional writing technique. It's revolutionary, it's brilliant. You're gonna love it, right? Now, but we get the emotion. So if that emotion, the overriding one is sadness, you write down sadness. If it's happy, exuberance, depression, write it down. Whichever one it is, write it down. You with me? Good. All right, take a breath. Ooh. All right, good. So the next step after that is that now we're structuring our book. So what you may find is that in this particular section, you need something. It could be reference material, it could be a bibliography, it could be another book, it could be pictures. So at this time is when you send off to whichever parts of the universe you need to, you send off for those materials to come back to you, right? It could be a long lost aunt in Venezuela, Mexico, Toronto, who knows? But you send off for it, okay? So there's already, the process has already started to move. Okay, so now we've done this for each chapter. Now what we've been doing, little did you know, is we've been programming our RAS. Now, some of you who have watched these videos already, you know what the RAS is. Great for you. For those of you who don't, it's so important that you do. So the RAS stands for the reticular activating system. Reticular activating system. Now what this is that it's part of our brain, we all have this, that guides and filters the images of the millions of images we see every day. It filters it in to the ones that our conscious mind can recognize and take note of. The ones that our conscious mind can recognize and take note of. Powerful, right? Recognize, take note of. There you go, you got it now. Good. So then what happens is that, as I mentioned before with that 100 Years' War, between the ages of 0 and 7, we're in the theta brainwave state. That means we're like a sponge. Those of you who've got kids will get this. So everything goes in. Whether they're good habits, bad habits, from our loved ones, the ones we spend most time around, our major caregivers, it goes in, right? So now what do we do with that? We start to create our identity around that. And it's not necessarily what we say as parents, but it's what we do. Because our kids mimic what we do. Don't necessarily listen to what we say. Now we all know that, right? You've got parents, you know what I'm talking about now. Drive you nuts sometimes. I love them though, right? So what's next is that from 7 onwards, we change up brain frequencies, okay? And with this brain frequency, we begin to come a little bit more closed. So the formative years have been building up what we believe to be the world. And from then on in, the RAS is really coming into its own now, because it starts to attract and back up all of those thoughts, feelings, ideas, concepts that we had. It starts creating empirical evidence. So the RAS is an empirical evidence finder. And it will find the evidence for whatever it is you want that your contention, your understanding, your theory, concept was at that moment, okay? So if, for example, I believe that people are inherently beautiful and loving and kind, the experiences that I attract into my life will be on the same frequency as that. If I believe that people are evil and out to get me, the experiences, the people, the situations that I attract into my life will reflect that, right? So this is the power of the RAS, right? This is why you use it every day. It's good to know what you're doing. Why am I bringing it up though? Because what we're doing with the structuring technique, that way, right, is that we are feeding or priming our RAS, tapping into our subconscious, conscious mind to literally know what we need to write next. So now this is part of the emotional writing technique. So now that's a nice segue, isn't it? Goodness. Emotional writing technique. So now you've gone through all of that process. Take a breath. All right. So you've gone through all of that programming, structuring technique. You're structuring out in your mind and your RAS is paying attention. Okay. Now this is the beauty of it. When you find your place to write, so for me, I wrote 90% of my book on a mobile phone, sitting in the front seat of a minibus with the kids screaming in the back. Thanks, Marina. Right, the kids screaming in the back, and I was obviously in the passenger seat. I wasn't driving, right? And that's how I wrote the majority of my book, 90% of it actually. So it's about finding a place where you can write, a place where you can be, right? Because we're primed our brain, but now we want to prime our body. We want to prime our body. So if I've got a place, if I've got a space where I can sit down, and for the moment that I'm there, the time that I'm there, I can be uninterrupted. Now this might be bottom of your garden next to the apple tree. This might be, in the toilet, if that's for you, right? Could be in the dining room, right? But you find a place, and you set that place up with things that you love. Could be flowers, could be pictures, right? Things that inspire you. Right? Could be a picture of someone who is like a personality or a celebrity or a mentor or a friend or your mum, right? Or your dad. Someone who inspires you. So when you sit at that place, you just feel power, right? You just feel power. And you set it up in a simple way, and you make sure you won't be disturbed for that time. So you let all the family know, you let the kids know if you've got kids. You let them know, listen, when I'm in this room and the door is locked, I'm off bounds. I'm focused. I'm doing this. Now, what you do is you're programming your body to be in tune with your mind and your RAS. When you do this on a consistent basis, what happens is the next part, which is magical. So, for example, for me, what I did was that I'd wake up in the morning, right? And I'd wake up happy, sad, angry, whatever I would wake up as. And then as I would go towards the car, because in the morning, Monday to Friday, I knew that we were going to discover Bali, which is where we are now, a beautiful place, right? And what I would do is that I would have my spot in the front seat. I would be in whichever emotion I was in. I wouldn't try and shift that emotion. If I was in sadness, I would stay in sadness. Better still, I'll find some more sad experiences, like the downward spiral, find more sad experience just to really lock it in, right? Lock in the sadness. And then what I would do then is that when I get into the car with a mobile phone in the front seat, passenger seat, right, then it would all just come out, you know, and I would select the chapter just before that part, select the chapter I was going to write based upon the emotion I was feeling. Not chapters 1 to 20, but sadness. Which chapter here alliterates sadness? Oh, that one there. Then that's the one I'm going to write. And that's what I did. And the beautiful thing is with this emotional writing technique is that you are in complete harmony with what you're trying to write. Writer's block is like, you know, I'm trying to be, you know, happy, but I'm really sad. I'm trying to write a sad chapter, but I'm exuberant and happy right now. It's very difficult to do. Even though we kid ourselves that, hey, I can do this. I know what to do, right? No, you don't, because your reader will pick it up. And they'll put the book down and maybe not pick it back up again. So who's lost? Everybody, right? So this is really key to understand. Set up your place, set up your space, and set up your place. Your place is in your heart, in your mind, right? You set that up, going through that structuring technique. You set up your place because now you've got a space where you can write. Maybe at the first, just think of like 1 hour, 1.5 hours max, because that's, the brain is in a good place. Now, what do we do? How do we write? So when we write in a flow of consciousness fashion. Okay, so for those of you who have done the artist way, you know what this is all about, because in morning pages, right, you just write out whatever comes in your mind, right? I was talking to someone the other day about this, and they were saying, he's a writer actually, and he was saying, you know, look, you know, I do this for a living, I'm a copywriter, and so on and so on. And another guy I spoke to was saying that I follow this technique, but the problem is that I just kept on writing and writing and writing, and it wasn't relevant to anything, right? Now, the problem is this, and this is one of the reasons why people fail, because they don't have a structure, they don't have a plan, and they don't stick to it, because there's no plan, no structure to stick to. So what we're doing here is that we're priming the brain so it knows what to write, it knows which stories to implement. So if you're writing about Spain, and you've got a great story about Italy, it's like, Italy's great, but I'm writing about Spain. I'll leave Italy for another book. That's okay. So now I stay focused on what I'm supposed to write. I don't drift off into space, right? And that's the beauty of having a structure, right? I had a 50,000 word manuscript to write. 50,000 words is a lot of words. And I knew I could write 1,000 words an hour. And so I knew 1,000 words an hour, 50,000, that's 50 hours of work. How did I find out? Because when I wrote the first 2 sessions, I counted the words afterwards, right? So what I did then is now we're on flow of consciousness writing. What I did then was say, okay, I know what I'm going to write about because my body knows. I'm going to let the pen or my thumbs do the walking for me. I'm not going to edit as I write. Failure number 2, editing as you write. I bump into people all the time who've been writing books for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. One guy was 10 years. I'm like, God dang, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year. I'm never going to finish this damn thing, right? And why? Because they were editing as they wrote. Perfectionist mindset. I've got to get this right, got to get this right, got to get this right. We learn by failing forwards, guys. As human beings on the planet, that's how we learn, right? So what you're doing is flow of consciousness writing. Let it flow. The first 5 minutes might be garbage, doesn't matter. Let it go, let it go, let it go. I'm watching, the kids are watching Frozen, so I've got that song in my head. Gosh, great branding. So basically, you're going to let it go. Think of Frozen. Let it go, right? Don't edit as you write. If you edit as you write, that's death, right? You don't edit as you write, you edit later. So that's all you're doing. And 45 minutes to an hour is good. Hour and a half is probably pushing a bit too far, but up to you. You'll work it out as you go through. And what happens is that your body, your brain, your mind knows exactly what to write because you primed it. And that's the beauty of this emotional writing technique. So you're priming it and you're giving it all the way. It's such a revolutionary thing to do because, as I mentioned before, 50,000 words. It took me 1,000 words an hour. So I knew I could write it in 50 hours. So then all I did was just divide it up into the number of days that I wanted to work. So I was like 5 days a week, 1 hour a day. Take me 10 weeks. And that's what it took me, 10 weeks to write my book on a mobile phone. So remember, as we're writing, flow of consciousness style, when you're done, don't worry about editing it now. Send it off by Gmail or in your Google Sheets, however you're going to do it, just send it off. Let it go. Let it go. Goodness, Frozen keeps coming up. All right, so one more time it comes up, I reckon. That's it, no more Frozen after that. So basically, so where we're at now is that this is how we're writing the book. We've trained the mind, we've trained the brain, we've trained the body, we know the space, we know the time that we write. Body knows all this stuff, it gets comfortable, and then your soul, your consciousness flows through you. It's really, really powerful. And you write super fast because it's completely aligned to what you're writing. It's a beautiful process, okay? Now, when you've reached and you've done all your chapters, right? And if I get time at the end, I'll show you a little technique to unblock if you get blocked, which you won't, but in case you do, right? So what happens then is that now you're at the end. You've written all your book. Now at the editing stage. Now the editing stage, I do 5 edits. Now an edit is one entire read through based upon the filter that I'm about to give you, all right? Okay, so filter number 1 is, does it make sense? So I go through the whole process with that filter of, does it make sense? And I correct as I need to make it make sense. That's what I do on that edit. Nothing more, nothing less. That's it. When I'm done with that edit, edit number 2, right, is, almost forgot, is sentences and paragraphs, the structure of what you're writing. How's the structure? And I look at it through that filter only. Well, how is my structure? And I go through and I check the structure as I go through and I amend accordingly. All right? Step number 3 is, how does it flow? How does it flow? Then I go through with that filter. How does it flow? Flows beautifully, thanks. And I adjust accordingly. The 4th, the penultimate filter is for, and you're going to love this one because it's crazy, this one. This one really caught me out, actually. And the 4th filter is repeated words and phrases. Repeated words and phrases. Now, if you think that it's terrible when you're speaking and you say or this or that, I notice I say right a lot. For example, right. When you write a book, it's like 10 times worse. And it just stands out. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I keep using that word, and, or composed of, or comprised from, or plethora, or whichever words you love to use, or phrase. So that your best friend is your thesaurus. And you change out, swap out those words, replace those words as you need to, right? That's it. Good. The final edit, 5th, edit number 5 is, how does the whole thing work together? You might think that sounds similar to number 3, but it's actually slightly different, because how does it work together? That's a filter. Now we're really looking at the whole book as a summary, as a piece together, right? When we do this is our last step. Now, after the step is done, you need to hand that manuscript on. No more editing, right? So another reason why people fail is that they get stuck in editing, right? So when you start a book, there's a few things you've got to reconcile. One of those things is, am I going to use people's real names? Reconcile it from the start before you begin. Am I going to use people's real names? Yes. Am I going to, yes or no, it's up to you, by the way. Am I going to tell the truth? This one hurt me a little bit. Am I going to tell the truth? So growing up in the children's home as I did, there was one lady there who I thought was mean. Just plain mean to me is what I thought. That was my way I remembered it, right? My recollection. That's the way I'm doing, recollection. And so this is a very strong word. So I hated her, right? I hated her. So when I write, I have to write from that filter of, I hate this woman. Now, as it turns out, and you're way ahead of me, it turns out that she was the one who gave me the most. She's talking about persistence, resilience, right? Never giving up. She was the one. So later years, I realized, damn, I got that one wrong. She wasn't the one, who I should hate. She was one who I should love the most, right? But as I wrote it, I needed to write from that place of hate, right? Not from the other place. Yes, maybe at the end or in parentheses I could put, later on I realized that I had this completely wrong. But it doesn't detract from what I've just written. So you need to reconcile this, right? And you need to reconcile your ego. This is the toughest one. Reconcile your ego. When you're writing an autobiography, reconcile your ego. What does that mean? It means that I'm a coach, right? I'm a speaker and I'm an author. That's what I do, okay? So for me personally, if next year, right, I'm the same person then as I am now, I've gone backwards. I've gone backwards. So that's not going to happen, right? So I'm always moving forward. I'm always advancing. Now here's where it can trip you up. So as I, and it can be 2 hours it takes me to edit, could be 2 days, could be a week, not a week, don't leave it a week, right? But when I go through this process, what basically happens is that maybe before I could do it in 5 steps. The next edit, by the time I got through, now I know I can do it in 4 steps. And the next edit I go through, you're way ahead of me, I can do it in 3. And look, what I'm trying to get through to you here is that if you don't reconcile the fact that whatever I write right now, right today, right, whichever day it is, whichever time it is, this is it. The sum total of everything that I know and love and believe is right here, right now. And I'm not going to change that. I can edit it if the word doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to change it, right? When you need to reconcile that fact, magic happens, right? Because you don't get stuck on this step. So all the people, and there's some of you now who's probably going like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. That's me. Got caught in editing paralysis. Oh. It's a horrible place to be because you lose inertia. You lose willpower. You lose drive. You lose passion because you're stuck, right? So those 3 failure, look out for them, right? Look out for them because they'll be in there somewhere, right? Editing, reconciling, if you're going to tell the truth, if you're going to call people by their real names, right? Recognize this, editing at the end, editing paralysis again, right? These are things which are really important, okay? Not staying true to your structure. Now, all of these things are extremely important to really get into alignment, all right? So now, we're arriving at the end of this particular section because there's so much I could give you, but I can't give you everything right now because there's not enough time, right? So one of the things that I really want to quickly get into now, which comes up a little bit, is about publishing and self-publishing and this thing, right? So self-publishing, publishing. So the rule of thumb which I would apply is simple, right? So with a publisher, you have to understand that the publisher, right? So my publisher was New Holland, right? Love them to death. Fiona Schultz, you are amazing. Thank you so much. She's the CEO of New Holland Publishers, right? So here it is. So, you know, if you have, it's what you can bring. It's what you have, right? It's what you can offer. Because a publisher is going to assign you an editor after you've handed over the manuscript, okay? They're gonna create the design. They're gonna print everything. They're gonna bind it, put everything together for you, okay? They're going to send it off and have the whole thing printed in mass numbers. They're going to warehouse it for you. Then they're going to send it on a boat, more than likely, and it's going to be shipped to different countries in the world that they have the retailers, right? And then they've got to move from there, from the ship, from the port, all the way to the shop or to the outlet of wherever it's going to go, right? So they've done all this work without you paying a penny, right? So now, here's the rub. Right? So for that, they're going to take more money. They're going to take more money. Whereas if you self-publish, ding, Amazon platform, KDP, that stuff, right? You can do it a lot cheaper. It will cost you very little, right? There's a great platform there, which is an astonishing platform actually. The Amazon platform is fantastic, right? They've got collaborators, like they can design your book, right, for very cheap, or you can use something like Upwork and ship it out to a couple of different graphic designers all over the world, and you get the ones back and you choose which one you want. So you've got all this stuff going on, right? You can do that, okay, which is awesome. You can put it on talking books, like ebooks straight away as well at the same time, pretty much. 48 hours, you can have it done. With a publisher, it can take 6 months to a year, right? Difference. Depends on your timing, right? So we've got all these things we need to pay attention to. But the most important thing is, what can you offer? What is compelling about you? Do you have an extraordinary network, right? Fiona had a great chat with her a while ago, and she said, Rob, you're either one of 2 things. You're either a publisher who works hard, or an author who works hard, or you're a hardworking author. I thought it was a trick question. right? But I eventually, for some reason, said, you know what? I'm a hardworking author. She goes, good answer. I said, what do you mean? Right? Because to do a book is hard, it's tough, right? It takes time, right? I'm showing you an easy way to do it, but it takes time. So everyone is an author who works hard. But a hardworking author is the biggest promoter of their book. It's like this. When I did my launch, the second launch, I did a separate launch, right? I know a few people. I went through my entire list of contacts, Excel spreadsheet, exported from Facebook, Excel spreadsheet, exported from my phone, Excel spreadsheet. It took me an hour to go through all the names. And I write down next to each name what they did, if they could assist, help me in either promoting my book or providing me space to do a speech or new people, maybe, right? And I went through all of that, and I'm literally classifying your friends. Sorry, but this is what being a hardworking author is about. So you're looking for all these, when I got those, then I was starting to reach out to them. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And because they're friends, of course they want to support you and help you. So they do. So you've got to be able to ask for help, right? From your friends, ask for support from your friends. That's why they're friends, right? Of course. So now what we're doing now is that we're being a hardworking author. So me, when I speak, I've got the book. Me, when I'm online doing anything, I've got the book. Right? So all of the things now, I'm using all of my capabilities, all of my passions, drives, nuances to promote the book, or better still, to promote the message of the book. The message of the book. So the message of the book, my book, as I mentioned before, is about, it's not where you start in life. It is where you are going that's important, and what you learn about yourself along the way. So not where you start in life, but where you're going. That's important, right? And that's the message. That's the message. So I promote the message, not the book. You got me? Because if I promote my book, then my friends, when they invite me around to like dinners, like, oh shit, is he going to promote his book again? You know? Am I going to invite him? I think I won't invite him this time. You become the pariah, right? But if I promote the message, a message. So wherever I go, the people that know me, when I'm outside, when I'm at home, I'm probably like this. You know, comatose. But for those of you who know me, I'm high energy, right? This is me. This is who I am. But it's the message is what you get from me. It's a congruent message of not where you start in your life, but where you're going. That's important, right? That's the message. And the link to the website or the link to the book or whatever is just a connection, right? It's just there you go, like a business card. But I'm not selling the book. I'm selling the message. Sell the message, not the book. 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 All right? So just a couple of tips there. Okay. All right. You still with me? All right. Let's just take a deep breath. Ooh, calm down. Let the energy sit a little bit. Imbibe all of that teaching that came in there. All right. Settle. So now we've been through the realities of a book, right? We've been through basically how to write, how to start your book, the 3 key questions, right? The structuring of the book using your RAS, okay? To give you that head start, your subconscious mind, your emotions, your feelings, driving your book through, writing it for you, writing in harmony, right? We've been through that. We've been through some of the challenges to avoid, the reason why people fail. Failure to plan, failure to structure, failure to stay to the structure, right? Editing, ego, these things come up. We've spoken about flow of consciousness writing, right? That emotional writing technique, revolutionary, very powerful, very powerful. Don't underestimate how powerful it is, because it really is powerful, right? So we've spoken about that. We've spoken about the editing, the 5 edits. We've spoken a little bit about publisher and self-publishing. What are publishers looking for? Compelling offer. What can you bring? Right? Being a hard-working author, not an author who works hard. Right? Good. Now it's about marketing. Marketing is key, which about you being a hard-working author, yeah, you've got all your different social media formats, and we all know that. Right? We all know about those. You've got a ground game, you've got an online game. We spoke about that. The ground game is, who do I know? What do they do? How can they help? Because I know they're going to want to help me. I know they are, right? So that's the ground game. The online game is, one thing which I've done for this, and quite a few of you will relate to this, is that I went into the Facebook groups, right? I just typed in my title, books, boom, like a million, searches came out, and I went through each one. Not a million, got to tell the truth. Didn't go through a million, guys. All right, joined about 50 or 60, right? And each one, I got to know my audience. I got to learn about my audience, right? And I got to respond, a few positive messages in there, right? Go in, see what they're about, see what's going on, see the rules. So I don't break the rules and don't get kicked out of the group. So all of that, I began to really understand who I'm writing for and where I can promote for free. For free. Okay? And then when I'm ready to deliver my message, then the market is ready there. That Facebook group is, they already know me, right? I do it because I care, not because I'm trying to manipulate, right? So it's a case of this. When you identify who's in your group, who's in your tribe, reach out for them. Reach out, and you can do it on Facebook, you do it on Instagram. These are ready, available, and they're free. I'm not even talking about ads or Instagram ads or anything like that now. Like literally that. Create your group. That's what I did on Facebook. This one now, turn your story into a book. Come up with an imaginative title. Maybe a little bit more imaginative than that one, but you can. The end result, right? The lifestyle, call it lifestylers or something like that. Maybe not lifestyle, I think that's taken. But you know what I'm trying to say here. The end result of what you're looking to get out of it. Freedom. What you're looking to get out of it, notoriety. Call it notorious group, whatever it might be, right? But there's different things you can call it. But the point I'm trying to make is that do your research. Use the tools available. Go into Google, right? Go into Amazon. Start typing in books. See what's going on. See what comes out, right? This is part of your online game. Back to the ground game. I go into the bookstores, right? I see where's my book going to sit? Where's it going to stand? It's going to be there. What other books are there? Who are the publishers, right? What colors are they using? What's the lettering? What's the image on the front? What is the going? Maybe I'll get to know the manager. Hey, Mr. Manager, my name's da-da-da-da. Maybe just get to know them first, right? You don't need to say, hey, I'm an author and I want to put my book in here. It's like, the door, right? Get out of here. People connect people. People inspire people. And that's what we're talking about now, right? So we just get to know the people because they're going to see you a lot because you're going to be in there checking out the books. So they're going to ask you questions. Hey, man, what are you doing? Say, well, I'm looking to release a book and I'm wondering, and it will soon come out because now your RAS, remember that one? The RAS is now tuning into that. So this is how you start to market your book before it's even written. Into those books, write a chapter. Say, hey guys, what do you think of this chapter? I'm trying to do this cover. What do you think of this cover? What do you think of the design? What do you think of the title? My title, as I think I mentioned to you before, was crowdsourced. It's actually Facebook sourced. I knew Soul Survivor, I knew that, but I didn't know the rest. And I put it out there, and it's Konrad Stefan Alzovitz, I think I butchered his name, or at least his surname, who found it and said, Rob, how about this? How an abandoned child went from nothing to everything. I was like, damn, that's good. So again, this is all about the community, right? That you're creating around you. And you can do this, right? It doesn't cost you anything but time. But because you're a hard-working author, the time is well spent, right? So now I could drop a message into 60 groups probably, something around that number, right? And I won't get blocked, right? I won't get pushed on the side. The chances are people will listen to what I have to say because I'm there for the greater picture. I know my why. I know my why. I know my message, right? This is what's going on, right? So this is part of the journey of your book. There's lots more. I'm giving you just a little snapshot, ideally things that can help you get started today, not tomorrow. Don't delay. Don't delay, right? How many things have you said to yourself, oh, I'm going to do that tomorrow? And you never do it. You never do it. Start today. Don't procrastinate, just start. And you can start today by getting your book summary done. Number one, book summary. Those thirds, 3/3. What's the book about? Why am I qualified? What are you going to get? Simple. 120 words. That's it. You can do an expanded one for 250 words, right? So all these things we can start to do right now, right? So like for all of you here, watching this, whether you get this live, whether you get this on replay, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, right? My email address is rib, R-I-B, or Romeo Indigo Bravo, rib at robertianbonnick.com, right? So rib, R-I-B, at robertianbonnick.com. But you'll find me on Instagram, Facebook. Instagram I've been blocked actually because I wasn't able to, long story. Anyway, but Facebook you'll find me, right? I've got my own page, it's Robert Ian Bonnick, Inspirational Speaker. Got that one as well. So reach out to me, it's free, it's a free discovery call, okay? And there's always value that comes out of that, right? 3 of the calls which I've done recently, I've given them the titles, right? And the title is powerful, right? The title like starts to seed in your mind. You're like, oh, I got the title. And these things start to come in that make up the book summary. Like, oh, I've got this. Again, don't have to have the title to begin with. But what I'm saying is it's great if you have, right? So all of this stuff comes out on a discovery call, whether you don't know what to write, whether you started and you got stuck, whether you finished but you can't put it down, right? Whether you just got lost somewhere in between here and there, right? Whether you want to talk about branding. So now branding, right? So branding, as I said before, people are brands and brands are people. As Rhonda Swan of, Unstoppable Brands calls it your birthmark. What is your birthmark? What is your brand? What do you stand for? Are you on time? Are you dependable, reliable? Or are you late? Are you lazy? All right? Your friends would tell you, if you ask them, they'll tell you the truth. That's your brand. If you're a company, it's the difference between Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola, right? Or Nike, or Giorgio Armani or Fred Perry, right? These are all brands, right? So everyone has got a brand, their own personal brand, they've got a business brand. So what we can do as well is, for those of you who want to get into the upper echelons of this and really create monetizing opportunities, I partner with an extremely dynamic, powerful, creative, and beautiful branding agency, PR company, right? Now we're able to create anthologies. That's 15, 25 authors working on one book. We're able to guarantee, that's an Amazon #1 bestseller, powerful, right? If you qualify, we're able to also guarantee, like feature articles in tier 1, tier 2 publications. What's tier 1, tier 2 publications, Rob? Well, that's things like Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc. There are many more. Guarantee. Now, when we do this, we create a space for you, a niche of which you are the captain, the king or queen of your niche. And that creates monetizing opportunities, right? Speaking, workshops, endorsements, sponsorships, or just a bigger platform to propel your message to a wider array of people. We do that as well, right? For that one there, again, get in touch with me, right? Get in touch. So all of these things we can do. We can take you from starting your book, your story, turning it into a book. You can do that in 10 weeks. 3 months, 6 months is, 3 months is good. We can do it in 10 weeks, right? So we can do it. That's what I did it in, right? Now, from there, once we have your book finished, then we can work on your branding, right? And then when we get this stuff aligned, then we create monetizing opportunities, right? You've worked hard. You've put in the time, effort, patience, sacrifice to get where you are in your niche, in your business, in your life, right? But you're leaving money off the table. The way that you get back onto the table is by doing that, allowing us to work with you and create your brand to be a really strong brand. And if you have a really strong brand already, we'll make it even stronger. So really we go from A to Z, really, right? Very powerful stuff, right? So now, another breath. Ooh. Okay, so where is all of this taking us? Where are we going with this? Why am I here? Okay, so I'm here to give you an opportunity, right? Now, if what I've spoken to you about before is resonating, some of it will resonate with you. You're here by no accident, right? I bump into people all the time. There's a lady here earlier on, a psychic that we just met, psychic, crazy, and she's just finishing her book. Just like, what? You know? And I bump into people all the time that I never realized or never knew wanted to write a book. And I contacted those who I thought should, right? But you're here by no accident, right? Just imagine, right? If you're a part of a Facebook group that I dropped a message into, how did you join that group? I bet when you calculate the odds, it's huge, right? You can't calculate the odds for that. So you're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. I've got Ludmilla over here who dropped in, right? And we met here in Tropical Nomad. By the way, thank you so much, Tropical Nomad, for hosting us again. Great team, Itchy and Bella, love you guys, right? So we're here at Tropical Nomad in Bali, beautiful Bali, that's where we are. And a great girl is writing an amazing book who we met here when I was promoting a book writing course, happens to be back here now looking at this, along with a few other people. Like, it's crazy how things work. So what I'm saying is you're here for a reason, right? Don't ignore it. It took me 2 attempts to write a book. The first attempt was like 10 years prior to the second, 6 years prior to the second. That was a journalist who said, Rob, if you want to write a book, I know your story, I will help you, but you need to go and find your mum. And I was like, oh, okay. Ran the other way, right? And then 6 years later, met another woman, another great friend, saying, Rob, you should write your memoirs. I said, what? And I remember the first time, I thought that was a missed opportunity, not going to happen again. So I said to her, I thought, you know what? I still wasn't convinced. I was like, well, I haven't even got a publisher. Then she just laughed in my face. Now, when someone laughs in your face, it's not that nice if they keep going. She just kept on going. I'm like, okay, enough. A bit weird. Turns out, you're ahead of me, she was a publisher. 2 weeks later, we had a publishing deal. Right? That's how it happened for me. Am I saying that would happen for you? Not necessarily. That's how it happened for me. Right? But what I'm trying to say to you is do not put this off for another day. Because if it's not now, when is going to be the time? Okay? So what am I doing? Why am I here? Okay, so for this session, what I'm doing is this, right? There's an online course that I'm going to bring out next month. But we're not going to talk about that now. What we're going to talk about now is what I'm being demanded of right now, which is to be a one-on-one coach with you to hold your hand and support you along the journey to making your story into a book. And if you've already written a book and you want to create that brand or build that brand, then for you, I'm here to help you take that brand from here to there and beyond, right? So that's today, that's the offer, right? And because you're here with me right now, whether you're live or on replay, so usually it takes, took me 10 weeks, but the average book is between 3 to 6 months. So usually I go to 3 months, okay? But right now, okay, if you decide, and there's a few of you out there which will be like, yeah, that's me. I've just got to make the commitment. When you make the commitment, everything flows. When you don't make the commitment, it gets a bit muddy. So make the commitment and back it up, right? If you contact me, right, within the next 24 hours, so really I want to say like 1 hour, right? But some of you are like, it's a bit too hard. Next 24 hours, right? You send me an email or a private message. Now, email RIB, R-I-B, Romeo Indigo Bravo at robertianbonnick.com. Or private message, Robert Ian Bonnick, or send it through the group. Turn your story into a book. So next 24 hours, okay? If you can do that, then this is what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to tell you the price because I want you to be serious first, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to slash for 24 hours, right? The price that I usually work at to a nice, big, healthy chunk off for 24 hours. The next thing I'm going to do is that we usually have, as I said, 3 months. I'm going to double that time to 6 months. Right? So you're getting double, it's like a double-double, right? Though the first one won't be 50%, it won't be 50% off, but it's a double-double, right? So this rate is only going to last for 24 hours, okay? After that, by the way, you still have a discovery call with me for free. That will remain regardless. You just have to request. Rob, I want a discovery call. You still get a cheat sheet that breaks down exactly how you write your book. Precisely, all right? Based on what I'm saying now, you're going to see it written in a shorthand form, all right? So you've got that, okay? Now, as you know, or maybe you don't know, so there's two publishers which I'm aligned with. One of them is the most powerful publisher in the self-development space in the world. In the world. And the other one is like the second. So they've got 1 and 2, right? Now, these are friends of mine. Am I saying because they're friends of mine you're going to get published? Of course not. But what I'm saying is, I'm on a similar wavelength. We talk. So I'm able to understand what they're looking for. Because as you know, with publishers, they can't publish every book that gets sent to them. It's like 1 in 10. It's a ridiculously small number. But what we're doing is that we're bumping up the odds of you getting a publisher, right? So all of this I'm throwing in, okay? Now when it comes to the branding, if you want to brand, right? Normally what we do is that the introductory cost for that, we're going to waive that too, right? So that means that you can sit down with a branding expert, right? And she is amazing. I've mentioned her name before. If you got it, great. If you haven't, you're going to have to get in touch, right? And we'll sit down with you and we'll work out a strategy, right? Yes, you need to fill out a form to make sure that we can work together, that we're on the same page. You can't help everybody, right? But that's what you're going to get, all right? So let me break it down again for you so you got this, right? So the first one is, what we're talking about now is a one-on-one coaching package over 6 months, because we've doubled the time. Okay. Now, what that works out to be is sometimes it's a phone call a week. We've got email contact, kind of unlimited, right? But I would do everything to get you from here to there. You will have a finished book at the end, guaranteed. But remember, when I say guaranteed, that's guaranteed from me. You need to pull up your end of the bargain as well. Remember, you're a hardworking author, right? Not an author works hard, you're a hardworking author, right? Very important, okay? So we'll get that done. And then what I will do is everything within my power to ensure you get a publishing deal. And I'm further ahead than almost anyone else that you could talk to right now because I'm close, right? To the number 1 and the number 2 most important and powerful publishing companies in self-development in that area, okay? I've spoken about, my personal rate that I'm going to discount that, all right? So I'm discounting and doubling. It's a bloody great deal, right? Okay, and I've spoken about the branding package. So if you want to be a branding, right? If you want to take your brand to the next level, the next 24 hours, you email me, you send me a message, you'll get that initial meeting free of charge, okay? Normally there's a charge, a big one, because these guys are amazing, right? I mean, they get, number 1 Amazon bestsellers, guaranteed. They get feature articles in the tier 1, tier 2s, the most important, powerful publications in the world. They get feature articles for. Again, you need to qualify for that, right? But you got the opportunity. How many people have got that opportunity? Not many, right? Okay, so then these are the things that we've got, and you're going to always have that free discovery call with me, right? So it's not going to cost you anything. And to finish everything off, to seal the deal, right, you get your money back if you're not happy, right? It's 100% money back. I know you're going to be happy, so I've got nothing to lose, right? But this is what I'm offering you now, right? So those 5 or 6 items in there, right, it's worth a lot of money. It's worth a lot of money. And you're getting it at 50% when you, all these things when you put them together is worth thousands, tens of thousands, guys. You're getting it more than 50% off. 24 hours. That's all you got, right? 24 hours, trying to bleed it into you, 24 hours. Now, for those who catch this on replay, you'll have 24 hours from the time that you watch it. Now, how do I know that? Because I've already calculated where I'm going to replay it and how long I'm going to replay it for, right? So it's okay. The system can't be bucked. But if you miss that window, you're going to be kicking yourself, right? But the discovery call will always be free. Always, all right? Because I really want to get into stories. So wrapping this up, I've got no idea how long I've been talking for, but I just want to give you, an idea of some of the people, that I'm working with. I've got plenty of testimonials. If you contact me, I'll send you the testimonials, from those mountain climbers, right? Climbed the 7 highest mountains in the world, including Everest. Far out. I've got a great testimonial from Matilda. Have an incredible coach, incredible one from them as well. Working with, as I mentioned, 5 incredibly powerful women, incredibly powerful, who are going to change the world. One, affect the lives positively of 1 billion people. This is amazing. I feel so blessed, and I feel so respected somehow, to be able to work with someone like that. Now, if you're not that person, that's okay. Because, my feeling with all the years of coaching that also go into this as well, so it's a coaching experience as well that you're getting for free, and I usually charge, $3,500-4,000 US for 8 weeks of coaching. That's getting thrown in there for free as well, right? But what I truly believe and have come to understand is that as people, right, we have the power to inspire one another. It's magic, right? We have the power to inspire one another with our stories, right? So if I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you, right, and I'm talking to, right? Because you're going to feel a little pull. Maybe you're going to be a little bit of fear, ooh, maybe a bit of a chill going through down your spine. I'm talking to you, right? So now, when you have a story to share, it's like a dent in the universe, right? And each story is like a dent, another dent, another dent, another dent, another dent, another dent, another dent. When you put all these dents in the universe together, it creates a pulse. And this pulse of positivity is one which captivates the planet, right? So Stephanie is going to have positive impact 1 billion people. 1 billion people, right? How many dents will it take to inspire 1 billion people? I don't know. But what I do know is this. Every story which people get stuck, they don't believe in themselves, they don't have confidence in what they're doing, they have the wrong method, the wrong strategy, and as a consequence they stop writing their book. This might be you now. It's sad. It's sad, because what you've done is that you've denied all of the people out there your message, because people inspire people. People inspire people. People inspire people. And that's why I love books. All right? So look, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for being with me. All right? Remember, share this. All right? We've all got that friend who was trying to write their book, got stuck on editing, got stuck on trying to work out if they're going to use the real story or a fake story, the real name, a fake name, stuck in their ego, right? Send them this. Share with them this, because they need to hear it, right? And remember, it's super powerful when you have a why that is bigger than yourself, a why that is in service of others. When you have that, we reach more than 1 billion people, guys. All right? And that's what I'm laying down to you. Thank you so much, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Thank you.